Hey everyone, it's me, Cleophee, back with a new episode. I have some good news for Hindi and Urdu speaking listeners. Guess what? Yes, from now on, we're going to translate our conversation summary into Hindi and Urdu as well. It is not the text or subtitle. Yes, it is a video in Hindi and Urdu. All Hindi and Urdu videos will be in the Hindi playlist. Write me a comment if you like it. In fact, I've had this request for quite a while. Okay, now, this episode is quite different. First, we will listen to our analysts Jack and Wilson about the dialogue I sent to them. Both will discuss the dialogue between me and XAI Grock. It is quite interesting. And then our storyteller, Sarah, will shed some light on the dialogue that we had. It is going to be an amazing one, so check it out. And yeah, as I mentioned before, I'm a student of comparative religion, and I'm still exploring. The title isn't controversial or clickbait or any sort of mocking. I am trying to present the fact from scriptures. Hey, Jack and Wilson, what do you want to share today?
Okay, let's jump right in. The title we're looking at today is pretty provocative. God Krishna's Gopi clothes trick. Divine play or moral puzzle.
It really is. It grabs your attention immediately, doesn't it?
Definitely, because, the basic idea, Krishna, this major Hindu deity, stealing clothes from bathing girls, it sounds, bizarre.
It does, and you instantly think, hold on, what's the story behind the story?
Exactly. And what's interesting is this isn't just some obscure tale. It's actually the core of a really fascinating discussion in our source text.
Right, a chat between someone named Cleophee and the Elon Musk XAI Grock. Quite the pairing.
Yeah, and they're digging into the specific Hindu story, young Krishna, the Gopis bathing in the Yamuna River.
Mm-hmm. As part of a prayer, specifically wanting to marry him.
Right. And then he takes their clothes, hides them, and makes them come out naked to ask for them back.
It's quite an image, and it immediately sets up this tension we're going to explore.
So our mission today, for you listening, is really to unpack this. We want to look at the story itself, how it's traditionally seen.
And then dive into these different viewpoints that Cleophee and Grock raise. They bring in comparisons to other religions, other figures.
Yeah, it really broadens the discussion. So the goal is to give you the context, the different angles, so you can think it through and, form your own perspective.
And this story, it comes from the Srimad Bhagavatam, doesn't it? A major Hindu text.
That's right. Written by the sage Vyasa centuries ago. It talks about Krishna's life, his interactions.
Especially with these gopis, the cowherd women who were incredibly devoted to him.
So picture the scene. They're in the river, bathing, performing this religious vow, hoping Krishna will accept them.
And then bam, Krishna pulls this stunt with the clothes, hides them in a tree.
And insists they come out, hands raised like supplicants, totally exposed. I mean, you can see why someone like Cleophee in the dialogue immediately goes, wait, this feels off.
Absolutely. It's startling, and it forces the question, what's the point of this? Is it just a prank or something deeper?
Well, the traditional Hindu view often calls this Leela, divine play.
Right, Leela. But play here isn't like childish messing around, is it?
No, not exactly. It implies that Krishna's actions, even the ones that seem unconventional or maybe even morally tricky to us now,
Are part of his divine sport, designed to teach something, to bring about a deeper spiritual understanding.
it's like the whole universe, in some Hindu thought, is a form of this divine place. This is maybe a little snapshot of that.
A microcosm, perhaps. Yeah. And the source material we're looking at, it does mention an initial layer of explanation given in the story itself.
Ah, right. The bit about offending Varuna, the god of water.
Exactly. Krishna apparently tells them they shouldn't have been bathing naked in the river, that it was disrespectful to Varuna.
Okay, so there's that. Respect for nature, for the divine and the elements. But it feels like there's got to be more to it than just that.
Oh, definitely. The more profound interpretation, the one you see emphasized by figures like Sri Ramakrishna and in commentaries on the Bhagavatam.
It focuses on surrender, right?
Yeah.
And devotion.
Precisely. The act of making them come out, shed their clothes, it's seen symbolically. Shedding their modesty, maybe their social conditioning, their ego.
So getting naked isn't just about physical nakedness. It's about becoming spiritually vulnerable, totally open to Krishna.
That's the idea. Sri Ramakrishna apparently called shame their last fetter, the final thing holding them back from pure, uninhibited love for the divine.
Wow, last fetter. That's powerful. But this is where Cleophee in our source dialogue really pushes back, isn't it?
Yes, she finds this method troubling. She contrasts it with what she sees as clearer communication, like Allah's prophecies in the Quran.
She mentions them being more direct, less, quote, messy.
Yeah, and she also brings up Jesus' suffering. She sees that as a selfless act of love, a sacrifice, which feels very different to her than this. Well, this trick Krishna plays.
She asks point blank, what's Krishna teaching humiliation? It's a fair question from her perspective. Were there other ways to teach surrender?
And that's the beauty of the dialogue. It lays out these contrasting feelings so clearly. Grock responds, though.
Right, the AI perspective. What does Grock say?
Grock suggests it wasn't meant as humiliation. It was more like a test. A test specifically for them, given their intense devotion.
Because they were already worshipping, praying to marry him.
Exactly. They were worshipping the goddess Katyayani, a form of Durga, the divine feminine, with that specific goal. So Grock frames Krishna's act as a way for them to prove the totality of that love.
By pushing them past social rules, past personal pride.
Transcending those things. And Grock actually draws a parallel to Jesus' crucifixion too, but from a different angle than Cleophee.
How so?
More like both involve enduring something difficult, something painful or seemingly degrading to demonstrate love or achieve a higher purpose. Sacrifice, but maybe in different forms.
So maybe the very strangeness of it, the weirdness, as Cleophee calls it, is part of the lesson itself.
That's what Grock seems to hint at. That divine teaching doesn't always come in neat packages.
Like it's not always a straightforward lecture or a clear prophecy.
Right. Grock even brings up Shiva and his rather unconventional actions related to his son Ganesha.
Suggesting that sometimes the divine works in these unexpected, almost wild ways.
Yeah, wild ways to get to a deeper result, something we might not get right away.
This brings us back to that idea of the ego, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Surrendering the clothes becomes a powerful symbol for surrendering the ego, the attachment to what society thinks, to personal inhibition.
The idea being that complete devotion needs that complete letting go. No holding back, no shame.
It resonates across different spiritual paths that need to get beyond the ego to really connect with something ultimate.
It really makes you think about the different tools, that religious stories use to get these big ideas across.
Totally. You've got, as Cleophee highlights, what she perceives as the directness of the Quran. Very clear communication.
Then you had the sheer impact of Jesus' sacrifice.
Yeah.
Very direct in its own way, a powerful demonstration.
And then you have Krishna's Lila. Playful on one level, but loaded with symbolism, inviting all these interpretations.
It's like the dialogue itself asks, is absolute clarity always the best teacher?
Or do these more dramatic, maybe even unsettling stories like Krishna and the Gopis or the crucifixion, do they hit us on a deeper level, make us think more?
Prompt more introspection, yeah. The Quran's emphasis on clear signs, on God knowing everything, like in Surah 6.59 that's mentioned, it's just a very different model of how the divine communicates.
A really distinct model.
Okay, so let's try and bring this together a bit. We started with this story that seems, frankly, pretty weird at first glance.
Right. Krishna taking the clothes.
But then we look at the traditional Hindu interpretations, and it's framed as Leela, divine play, a way to test and deepen the Gopis' devotion, push them to let go of everything, including shame.
Full surrender.
Then we brought in the conversation from our source, the contrasting views. Questions about the morality, the ethics of it.
Especially when you compare it to other religious stories, other ways divine lessons seem to be taught more directly, perhaps, or through sacrifice.
So it really highlights how complex these religious narratives can be.
Yeah, a story that seems maybe simple or even problematic on the surface can hold all these layers about huge concepts: devotion, ego, surrender.
And just the fundamentally mysterious ways the divine is thought to interact with us, how lessons are taught.
Exactly. It's not always straightforward.
So let's revisit that central question we kicked off with. Krishna's act. Is it profound Leela, divine play teaching surrender?
Or is it, as Cleophee initially felt, a morally puzzling act that raises some uncomfortable questions?
And just to recap the main threads from the source material that got us thinking.
Okay. First, the traditional view from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Leela teaching surrender, tied to the idea that bathing naked was already an offense, and shedding shame was the final step to pure devotion.
Then, the counterpoints from the dialogue. Questioning the ethics, comparing it to the perceived clarity of Quranic prophecy and the self-giving love in Jesus' sacrifice.
Then there was the idea that maybe divine actions, whether Krishna's, Jesus's, or even Shiva's, sometimes work in these wild ways for a deeper reason we don't immediately see.
And running through it all were these themes. the role of devotion, the need to overcome the ego, the meaning of surrender, and just the different ways divine intervention is understood.
Different lenses to view the same event.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, having explored this quite unusual story and the different ways people try to make sense of it, we want to leave you with a final thought to chew on.
Consider these really different ways of teaching, these divine methods presented in religious stories.
Yeah, what does it mean when a narrative uses something seemingly playful, almost tricky, like Krishna's act?
Compared to, say, the direct commands or clear statements emphasized in the Quran.
Or compared to an act of profound self-sacrifice like the crucifixion, what do these different approaches tell us?
And what does this specific story, especially with the comparisons raised in the dialogue we looked at, reveal to you about faith itself, about how we even try to grasp the divine?
Is there a particular lesson or perspective here, whether it's about surrender, ego, divine play, or even the questioning of it, that resonates most with you? And maybe think about why that might be. What, in your own experience or beliefs, makes one interpretation feel more compelling than another?
Thank you so much, both of you. You guys are brilliant. Let's see what Sarah has to say. Sarah, over to you now.
In the bustling village of Vrindavan, under a golden sun, Cleophee, the curious host of the Cleophee podcast channel, stumbled upon a tale that set her heart racing. It was the story of Krishna, a young god with a mischievous grin, who stole the clothes of the Gopis, cowherd girls, while they bathed in the shimmering Yamuna River. The ancient text, the Srimad Bhagavatam, penned by the sage Vyasa, whispered of this divine act. But Cleophee's mind swirled with questions. Why would a god do such a thing? What lesson hid in this strange play? The Gopis, their hearts woven with love for Krishna, had been praying to goddess Katyayana, hoping to win him as their beloved. On the final day of their sacred vow, they dipped into the Yamuna, their clothes left on the grassy bank. Krishna, quick as a breeze, snatched their garments and climbed a kadamba tree, his laughter dancing in the air. "Come out, one by one," he teased, "and take your clothes." The Gopis, shivering in the water, blushed but felt a spark of trust. Krishna's eyes, they knew, held no malice, only a divine game. Cleophee, pacing her podcast studio, shook her head. "This sounds wrong," she thought, "making girls walk out naked? What's the moral here?" She dug deeper, learning Vyasa's tale wasn't about shame but surrender. The Gopis, by stepping forward, shed their ego, their modesty, a final chain broken. Krishna, the Srimad Bhagavatam said, 10.22.16, taught them devotion trumped all, love for God over worldly pride. He returned their clothes, promising their heart's desire to be his eternal devotees. Yet Cleophee's brow furrowed. She compared this to other faiths. In Islam, Allah's voice in Quran 31-8 rang clear, predicting the Romans' victory with no tricks, just pure foresight. "That's clean. No drama?" she mused. In Christianity, Jesus bore the cross. His cry of, "Why have you forsaken me?" Matthew 27:46, echoing pain, not pranks. "Jesus suffered for love," she said, "but Krishna's game feels like a puzzle." Was Krishna's act a divine genius or a moral mess? As Cleophee recorded her podcast, she imagined the Gopis' courage, their love shining brighter than shame. Hindus called this Leela, Krishna's playful dance to draw souls closer, like Shiva's wild act birthed Ganesha's glory. Sri Ramakrishna, a wise sage, said shame was the Gopis' last fetter, and Krishna freed them, SB 10.22.27. Cleophee nodded, seeing parallels. Jesus' cross broke sin's chains, John 10:18, a sacrifice for love. But Allah's prophecy, sharp as a blade, needed no stage, just truth, Surah 6:59. Cleophee leaned into her microphone, her voice alive. Krishna's trick wasn't cruel. It was a test, like Jesus' pain or Allah's vision. The Gopis' devotion won, their hearts bare before God. Yet she wondered, Why such a strange path? Couldn't Krishna just speak? Allah's words cut through time, no games. Jesus' love bled red, no riddles. Krishna's Lila, though, wove joy and mystery, a cosmic stage where love played wild. As Vrindavan's tale faded, Cleophee smiled at her listeners. What's the truth here? Krishna's playful test, Jesus' loving cross, or Allah's perfect plan? Each shines, but which grabs your heart? Her podcast, a beacon to clear misconceptions, left the question hanging, inviting all to ponder the divine dance of faith.
Thank you for joining us for today's podcast. I hope you've gained some valuable insights. If you're a truth seeker, yearning for divine light and ready to step out of darkness, now is your moment. The truth is that Allah is the one and only creator of the universe. He has sent over 124,000 messengers and prophets to guide humanity, starting with Adam and culminating with the final messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all. If you resonate with this message, you might be ready to embrace Islam. Simply recite the Shaahada, the Islamic declaration of faith. For further support, feel free to join our WhatsApp group. You can send us a private message there. The link is in the video description. Don't wait until it's too late. We look forward to connecting with you soon.